Welcome to another episode of NBP Media, where we have healthy discourse on issues that affect black men to look at issues through a different lens. Today, our topic is Jay-Z and the NFL. The question or the topic of the day is, was Jay-Z right in meeting with the NFL? It took me a while to get to this topic because there was a lot of blowback coming from different sides. So sometimes you don't want to jump the gun. I go on social media, I just see one group is like, yo, Jay-Z's a coon, hate that nigga, whatever. And then on the other side, you got people now criticizing Kaepernick because of their love for Jay-Z. So there was no in between. So I had to take a little bit of time and analyze everything. Now, the optics look really, really bad for Jay. There's no way around it. And some of his biggest fans can't even avoid this. Because the first thing is he actually co-opted someone else's movement. Now, it beats me why the NFL has to do with social injustice in the first place. First, if it's me, personally, them Negroes need guaranteed contracts first and foremost. That's an NFL issue. But if we are going to focus it on social injustice or police injustice or police brutality, which was Kaepernick's original stance, then Jay-Z literally co-opted the movement. He was the one that he was telling people not to be around the NFL. He wore Kaepernick's jersey all the time. He was the main one telling people not to perform at the Super Bowl. He told Travis Scott, hey, it looks bad if you're gonna be at the Super Bowl. Then I'm hearing stories how he told JD, oh, don't go there. This was confirmed by, I believe, his manager or someone in his camp. He told JD, don't go down there. They also told Big Boy and some others, they criticized them for performing at the Super Bowl. But then when it's convenient, he wants to set a deal up with the NFL. This is hypocrisy at its finest. But Jay-Z has a history of that, but we'll get into that stuff later. Now let's talk about him partnering with the NFL for social justice. I have to put that term social justice in parentheses. We know what Kaepernick was at least kneeling for. Kaepernick said, okay, I'm going to call out all of these police shootings from the Bay Area to the stuff that was happening in New York and just all over the country, all of these random acts of police violence, and they weren't getting in trouble after killing unarmed black men. And he brought this to the forefront. As much as you disagree and agree with whatever, but him using the NFL as a stepping stone to put that out there, his intentions were pure in putting out a real problem to the world. And him kneeling got enough Americans of other cultures upset that they were so against him. Because it's in their conscience. They know what's happening. And I'm proud of his movement for displaying that. Now let's go back to with Jay-Z co-opting this movement. He co-opted this movement and said that he's going to partner with the NFL. He's going to do entertainment for halftime shows. You know, Negroes always with the entertainment stuff. And then he said he's going to partner with the NFL for social justice initiatives. Now, social justice initiative, that's a broad term. I know what police brutality, I know what killing unarmed black men means. That is specific things. When you start talking about social justice initiatives, I don't know what they mean. Just by doing that, you dilute from the original message, from what Kaepernick and Reid and these guys were doing. He automatically diluted it because now he actually helped these owners and a lot of white America divert the issue and move the goalposts, which is what they always were trying to do. So Jay-Z became a useful tool to do this. And also, I mean, if we really paying attention to this, I mean, Jay-Z has always been a figurehead for a lot of these businesses that he pushed. Let's start from, first of all, in my opinion, I think ever since he left Rockefeller, I believe that he wasn't about ownership to that point. He wanted to be the face of movements without having to actually own it and put the same equity as the people who create things from the ground up. For instance, let's look at the champagne. Let's look at the liquor brand, Rockefeller, Damon Dash, Kareem Biggs Burke, Jay-Z. They all created their own liquor. Obviously, rap is huge pop culture, turned into pop culture. So why not also create your own brand of liquor? Plus, they had a high-end brand, especially for rap music. So they created their Armadale liquor. Now, once a fallout started to happen, Jay-Z did not want to have his share. He did not want to be put in that. So he now went and he tried to promote, what is it? What is that brand called again, guys? Cristal. He was always talking about Cristal. I remember from 02, 03, Cristal. Then all of a sudden, he just said Cristal was racist. It was racist. You see, it just came out of nowhere. I mean, he was pretty much riding that, dick riding that liquor brand for a long time. And I'm pretty sure they were probably a bit racist or classist against black culture. But they always were. But Jay-Z and his types of people use that to promote themselves as better than the collective of blacks. Now, he probably tried to shake them down for a little bit of stake, for a little bit of part ownership in their brand or some type of ambassador. And all of a sudden, they probably told him no. All of a sudden, he says, you're racist, you're racist, you're racist, giving them bad publicity. And then I think he ended up going to Ace of Spades, which probably feels the same exact way as Cristal. But Ace of Spades, they let Jay-Z have some ambassador, pushing him as ambassador. So they probably gave him a certain stake in the company to promote their brand. And basically they sell it to us, they sell it to the black community who have these delusions of grandeur, of being rich, just like Jay-Z, promoting brands that he doesn't own. And all of a sudden, we're going to the club, we're spending $1,000 a bottle. People trying to make ends meet, or they haven't built anything. People in the projects spending $1,000 and change for each bottle for Ace of Spades. Now, let's go to. This is the beginning of this type of sellout behavior, or this shakedown as a shakedown artist. Call him the young Al Sharpton. That's exactly what he is. And these moves are leading up to the same. You can easily see that he's becoming the new Al Sharpton. Let's look at the Nets. He was 100% the figurehead of this Nets moving to Brooklyn. The way he talked, you would have swore that he was a majority owner of the team. You would have swore that he that he had a lot more influence than he did. But as usual, he influenced the black people. That is his job, to talk to the black people. And once he continued that initiative, all of these Brooklyn residents were from, especially in downtown Brooklyn, they were gentrified out. And as you know, with gentrification, people from downtown Brooklyn now have to move to the next neighborhood. So now these people might have to move to, let's just say, I don't know, they may have to move to, I'll say Crown Heights or the next town over, maybe Bed-Stuy. And then Bed-Stuy people who could live in high-end Bed-Stuy would have to move into Crown Heights, Flatbush. Then you kick people from Brownsville, to the point where even people in East New York are getting gentrified today. And this was a lot of his creation. This wouldn't have passed, or the youth or a lot of residents in BK would have probably had a bit more resistance to this move if he didn't market it so much as his own creation. Because black people, weak spot, we don't want to go against each other, especially in the public. So he put the wool over a lot of his fans' eyes, because we didn't want to go against him. And now everyone can't live in Brooklyn. And it's not even a guarantee that a lot of the same blacks will get those same jobs at the Barclays Center. And now he sold his ownership, and now it has nothing to do with him anymore. So he's always been a hustler, and he said that from the beginning of his career. Now, instead of making too much of a deep dive on Jay, because we got a lot of receipts here, let's talk about how chummy this guy was at the table with the Roger Goodells of the world and all these types of people. Like they were like best friends. There was no type of animosity. There was no, what about Kaepernick? What about, talking about his situation? What about, how is this man going to talk about, we think kneeling's in the past? And what makes him an authority on black culture that way? I thought he was an entertainer. What makes this guy have the gall to just talk about somebody else's movement and not be humble enough to check himself? I've told y'all about these goddamn entertainers. Y'all worship them, but these people are being controlled by gatekeepers of higher up industries. I told y'all about them. Now, this guy's laughing, yucking it up with Goodell and them, and, I call him the black shield. The NFL's the shield, the Jay-Z's the outer black shield, protecting the NFL from black criticism for a check. So it took me aback how he was laughing and chucking it up with these guys, and and he didn't think the optics would look bad. That's crazy to me, honestly. That's crazy. I think Brooklyn got to take the L for this one. I'm sorry. I'm born there, but y'all niggas got to take an L, because this is crazy. This is one of the worst looking sellout moves. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a chance that Jay-Z could work something out because of all of this bad publicity. There's a chance that he could do something for Kaepernick. He could say, hey, Kaepernick, hey, we have a job for you here. Or maybe we might have a way for you to make money to get out to get out of this bad PR spot that they're in now. So I have no doubt in my mind that they will eventually do something for Kaepernick for good PR purposes. Because right now they did not expect the heat to be this much drawn on them. They did not expect it. There's no way to expect this. So for me, I'm not going to try to criticize my black brothers too much on this station. I mean, there's enough of this crabs in the barrel mentality. Sometimes we got to talk to each other out of love. We cannot always bash each other and call each other out of names. derogatory terms. You can't just say, yo, you're a coon, you're a sellout, you're a fuck nigga. You can't do none of that. I think those days should be coming to an end. We could say we're thoroughly disappointed in our brother Jay-Z or Sean Carter. I don't even think we should call him Jay-Z no more. Call him Sean Carter, the Republican. But let's just say, all right, we're disappointed with you, but to be fair to him, he's an entertainer. All revolutionaries are coming from grassroots levels. This is something from the beginning of time, because the man who's paid has allegiance to the person who pays him, right? So all revolutionaries come from grassroots. What made a Kaepernick a little different, while I won't call him a true revolutionary, I would say he has a lot of revolutionary vibes within him, is because he knew the risk of what he was doing, and he still took the risk, even amongst the death threats. And he looked like a man that was ready to accept whatever fate what was happening to him. I recall an interview where he said, hey, it's looking like people giving me death threats. If it have to happen like that, I'm going to stand on it. When he said something like that, I'm like, this guy has the heart of a revolutionary. I necessarily can't call him a revolutionary due to the circumstances and being a millionaire athlete. You know, it's kind of an oxymoron in a sense, but you have to respect his heart. And he was willing to risk it. And everyone wanted to go behind his wave, from all of these entertainers, from the Jay-Z's, Meek Mills, everybody went behind him. But the truth be told, these people are controlled by the gatekeepers of their own industries, so they have to tread carefully. Now, for instance, like Jay-Z, I know this thing where, he's a boss and he's this and he's that. Yeah, compared to regular niggas, yes, he will flex his muscle against regular niggas. Just like how he blackballed a lot of black folks, rappers, when he was a rapper, when he wanted to be president. He blackballed people. He helped blackball. He worked with some of his Khazar friends, and he blackballed some of his people that he came up with, the Dame Dashes, these people to the world. He blackballs people. So he's a bully within his own community. But when he goes to other communities, he's very nice. He just puts his teeth out there. He smiles a lot. He's yucking it up with that type of crowd. So I don't blame him that much, but I will say that he clearly is a liberal shill. I don't want to keep talking this politics stuff, but if you can't see it to this day, there's a lot of black folks in entertainment, especially the high-level black folks, that are paid, that are sponsored by a lot of these Hollywood elites, or whether these Hollywood elites have to do with acting or music or whatever. They all are interconnected. Jay-Z works for these types of people. You know, he is a quote-unquote agitator in a sense, but his job is to influence black people, or before, his job was to sway black people into buying brands that they couldn't afford or they shouldn't afford. Jay-Z has always been used as a tool of the oppressor from the beginning. So his strings, I believe, are pulled by Roc-Nation. I don't know some of the high-level people that's in that, but I guarantee you that Jay-Z and Beyonce will be performing until they're 70 years old. They'll probably be making albums until that time, you know, because they don't own, you know. And it's not like, we're just giving something to our fans. Nah, they doing it because they're told to get their black asses out there and to work. They gonna be working. They ain't gonna be no retirement for them. They ain't gonna enjoy their retirement. They are corporatists, and ain't nothing wrong with that. I think black people could be from all perspectives, but the corporatists that are working for people from other cultures, which is the problem. And you don't fight capitalism with capitalism. I understand the theory. This is another point, guys. I understand the theory of, we need to get a seat at the table. And I understand this part where, Kaepernick, he took a payout, he took a deal, or everyone is saying that as to be to give Jay-Z more credit, or to basically put him in a better light. But Kaepernick took that deal through the collusion case because he was owed money. The problem is, in Whitey's court, he got you. Because while you had to take what was earned to you, he ended up having to get an NDA deal and on top of that. So now he cannot speak on certain things. So that was very smart of the white man or the NFL owner right there. Because he knew he owed Kaepernick for the collusion deal. But on top of it, he actually put the NDA to silence him a certain type of way. And Jay-Z was the death blow. Now, as far as what I was saying before with Jay, this whole revolutionary act, even from growing the dreads, or the kind of semi-dreads, or it's kind of like J. Cole light. And he literally, he always threw little hints and stuff like, okay, black people, we trying to take over, blah, blah, blah. He'll put little things like that to rile up his black base, like they're trying to go for ownership. But truth be told, he literally started talking like a revolutionary, or he started talking conscious at like 40 years old. Let's keep it 100%. Jay-Z started talking black conscious at 40 years old. I remember during that whole battle with him and Nas and Takeover, he was like, fuck you trying to kick knowledge? Remember he said that in such a condescending way. Like, oh, what, you trying to kick knowledge? Like, knowledge ain't important for hungry black people. I'm talking about knowledge-starved black people. You can't just feed them capitalism. Jay-Z is a capitalist, but you're not going to get a seat at the table, because like the great term that Minister Farrakhan said is, the forces around the table control that seat. So yeah, he gets in, but he's gonna have to go with the same exact rules as what the owners before him put in there. And you also have to factor in that there's such a big waiting list of people who are trying to get into this NFL, to be an NFL ownership class. So I highly doubt that he's going to get even over a part-time ownership deal with the NFL. This is people with big time money, and I'm not discrediting his money because I ain't got none. But I'm saying that there's a waiting list of high millionaires and billionaires who are ready to put up their whole capital to finance an NFL team. Or they actually have capital that they don't need for themselves and can finance a whole NFL team with part of their money. And Jay-Z has to compete with these people, and they're from other cultures too. So I would like to see if he's going to get a better deal than he did with the Nets, which was like 0.15 or 1%. To sell out Kaepernick, you got to do better than that. You better have a better percentage than that. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I ain't trying to kill my other black brothers, but I will reserve the right to judge on future things. I need to see what's going to happen with the movement. Is he going to bring Kaepernick out? Is there going to be some type of under the table payment again where Kaepernick can get? So I need to see what's going to happen. Now, when we were speaking of, we were just speaking of having a seat at the table. In my opinion, it sounds like the old civil rights movement, where you had some people who were about getting a seat at the table. Please integrate us into your society, even after you have segments of successful black folks and black businesses during segregation. I'm not saying it was all great for black people, but I will say that it forced you to have to depend on each other. And some of us did well. Some didn't, but some did do well. This sounds just like the rhetoric from the old civil rights movement, where some people, they didn't really care about equality or justice or job or black labor issues or justice issues. They cared more about sexual access to white people, or they just cared about being integrated. I want to spend my money at white companies because the white man's ice is colder. This is the mindset, and Jay-Z's always had this mindset. I would say him and Kanye West have always had this mindset. They're pretty much were willing to be used as tokens. Honestly, I think Jay-Z's worse than Kanye, because Kanye while he had controversial points, I feel like he stood on his own, and he's more of a wild card. I think people distance themselves from Kanye because he actually was the first liberal shill rapper that crossed over and just started talking to white conservatives. I thought that was a red flag. They were like, how did our property go to the other side? Jay-Z stayed firm, and he stayed with his liberal masters, his white liberal masters. So that is the only difference for me. And Jay-Z is, I told you before earlier in this podcast, he's taking the blueprint from Al Sharpton. He's going to big companies and he's shaking them down. From the beginning, from liquor companies, from basketball franchises, and now he's doing it with the NFL. Or Tidal. Tidal was already a company that was moving. He just put his influence into Tidal, and he put a certain narrative there. And I hope I'm wrong about a lot of this, because I actually root for the guy. You know, I root for any black man who seems like they care a little bit about his own people. And that's all. As long as something good can happen at the end of it, then I will kick back a lot of my words. I do believe that because of the negative blowback, he will end up having to present some initiatives a lot more quickly, because time is not on his side. And so he's going to, the clock is ticking, and all the pressure's on him. So I don't doubt that he's going to get up with Kaepernick or somebody and try to do something or negotiate some type of deal that will involve Kaepernick. But hey, what do you expect, man? Jay, I mean, he's a father figure to a lot of these dudes, man. I mean, they don't want to admit it, to the point where they're turning on Kaepernick. Marcellus Wiley just was like, oh, Kaepernick ain't even black. Ness ain't even black. How could they speak? But then at the same time, you shit on the same biracials, but then you want the biracials to be on your squad when shit is going down. You see what I'm saying? I hate that type of thinking. Granted, yes, in the past, and yes, there have been mulattoes that have always sided with the other side, but there have been other black and white, there have been other mulatto types that have identified as black and have been some of the strongest freedom fighters within the black collective. It's not fair to just discredit someone because of their color, because the same dark-skinned black person would be bitching if the same biracial was to go on the other side. They'd be, So I hate when that happened. I hate when Marcellus Wallace did that, and he should be reprimanded for that. Not fired. Not gonna fire my black brother, but he should be reprimanded for that statement. That shit is not right. Should be fined heavily for that statement, because that's unacceptable, and Kaepernick did nothing to deserve that type of statement. And this guy went out of bounds to say something like that. So let's wrap this stuff up, right? Let's wrap this up. Basically, Kaepernick, while he could communicate better due to the case of collusion, he was tied up in what he could say, and he had a lot of people speaking for him. Jay-Z, as a capitalist opportunist, his bosses probably talked to the NFL owners, and they worked something up, and Jay-Z, as the loyal liberal shill that he is, he went and he co-opted a movement that wasn't his, and that's it. And Jay-Z, the spotlight is on you, time is ticking, and you have to make the right move, or else your legacy will be forever tarnished. But since you're my black brother, we will give you the time to rectify the situation. But real talk, you did bring this Republican shit to the rap game too. But that's a different story. I ain't gonna bash my brother. But anyways, there's been another episode of MVP Media. If you like it, comment, leave a comment, leave a detailed comment, hit the like button. Peace out. 1.